is a gaming smartphone. This is also a gaming smartphone. This is a gaming smartphone as well. Wait, what? Dude, what do you mean it's a gaming smartphone? Look at it. Where's the gamer aesthetic? There's a giant camera bump. There's no RGB lighting.
No, dude, really. This is the ROG Phone 8 Pro. It's got air triggers for gaming. It got AI to help you play games. It's even got anime vision at the back. See?
Yes, that's right. Believe it or not, this really is the ROG Phone 8 Pro, Asus's brand new flagship gaming smartphone. It has just about everything you would normally expect from a gaming smartphone, such as shoulder touch buttons, a high refresh rate display, and some of the best hardware you can find under the hood. Except, it looks a little different. Gone are the heavy gamer aesthetics of ROG phones past, and instead, it's a brand new look with our ROG Phone 8 Pro here, sporting a matte finish, a redesigned camera bump, and a more sleeker, sexier industrial look. Asus says that this marks the third generation of ROG Phone design, in which the goal is to position the ROG Phone more as a gaming device that will also be perfect for daily usage while balancing the ROG DNA, so to speak. Some people have already said that this is Asus selling out, that the ROG Phone is no longer a gaming smartphone at heart, not just because of the new radical look, but also because it comes with a number of different design choices that we'll touch on in a little bit. Right now though, I just want to go ahead and say that I like the new look on the ROG Phone 8 Pro. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is perhaps one of my favorite looking smartphones among all of the latest generation devices. It's that matte back that not just looks amazing but feels great in your hand too. The ROG logo and the Republic of Gamers branding is still there of course, but much more toned down that makes me feel less awkward holding it out in public. It's especially true now considering that there's no secondary display on the back now. Instead, a more minimalistic anime vision mini LED matrix on the back which you can even turn off for when you're at work or in a meeting. The Phantom Black colorway also isn't really totally black here, with more of a gunmetal sheen to it. I really like the flat sides too, again pushing it more in line with its contemporaries. Then there's the addition of an IP68 dust and water resistance rating, a great upgrade from the IP54 rating of last year's model. This subdued look is a winner in my mind. Not everyone loves the new look though, and I can see why. Perhaps the most surprising change here is that with the ROG Phone 8 series, the display is no longer a full cutout free display. Previous ROG phones have prided themselves on not having a cutout for the selfie camera, sacrificing screen to body ratio in pursuit of a notchless screen and dual front-facing speakers. With the ROG Phone 8 lineup though, you're now getting a 6.78-inch AMOLED display with a Full HD Plus resolution capable of a 165Hz adaptive refresh rate, a peak brightness of 2500 nits, impeccable color accuracy, and a layer of Corning Gorilla Glass Victus over it for scratch resistance. By adapting the new display, Asus was able to shrink down the bezels by up to 71% on the top and bottom bezels and another 14% on the sides for a 94% screen to body ratio. I can see why Asus would finally give up on the whole notchless display thing, seeing as going bezel-less has pretty much become the norm for almost everybody else in the scene now. But for a number of hardcore mobile gamers, including those in the Switch office, they were a little disappointed, to say the least. However, as someone who had used the ROG Phone 6 and the ROG Phone 7 before, I personally feel that this change-up really isn't that big of a deal. Sure, they shrank the bezels and gave it a cutout selfie, but in turn reduced the overall footprint of the phone, making it far more usable for its main purpose as a smartphone. I found myself gaming, scrolling through social media, replying text messages, and watching YouTube on the ROG Phone 8 Pro just fine, really. What's not so fine though is that by giving it the bezel-less treatment, the stereo speaker setup is unfortunately no longer dual front-facing. Instead, you'll have a much more typical single front-firing speaker and a bottom-firing speaker for the speaker setup here. For the most part, it sounds decent, getting fairly loud, still clear with little distortion. But by moving away from the dual front-facing speakers, the audio isn't as balanced as before. When gaming, I also often find myself accidentally covering the bottom firing speaker, especially if I'm using the air triggers on the side. On the bright side, there's still a 3.5mm audio jack here for you to hook up a pair of wired earbuds. Incidentally, it's also in the audio department that I find myself again a little disappointed with its new AeroActive Cooler X. A redesigned phone means a redesigned AeroActive cooler. And so with the AeroActive Cooler X, it's now 10% lighter and 29% smaller to keep with the theme here. That doesn't mean it's less capable at reducing heat though, with a faster fan and higher thermal efficiency that for the most part will work well enough to keep temperatures a couple of degrees lower than normal. Unfortunately, the AeroActive Cooler X no longer has the subwoofer that was in the previous AeroActive Cooler 7 for the ROG Phone 7 series, making the overall potential for audio quality just a smidge lower. And if you're one of those gamers who prefer having as many buttons available to you for macros, you'll also find just 2 buttons here instead of 4, another sacrifice made probably to reduce size and weight. In any case, the ROG Phone 8 Pro here will still do well in what is technically its main focus: gaming. Packing the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset with up to 24GB of RAM and up to 1TB of storage on our ROG Phone 8 Pro edition, this is one of the snappiest smartphones you can get right now. You also get your standard array of software tools like Army Crate and Game Genie for you to tweak performance profiles and whatnot, though I did notice some grammatical errors here and there, so Asus, you might wanna patch that out. Perhaps the best compliment I can give the ROG Phone 8 Pro here though is that when I first got my hands on it and started playing games with it, I kind of forgot that it was for a review and really just enjoyed my time playing Shadow Fight 4 and Geometry Dash until my boss reminded me I was supposed to be working. One cool new feature though is that with the ROG Phone 8 Pro, there's actually some AI-powered tools that will let you speed through your progress in game. Definitely not cheating, of course, just tools. It is unfortunately only available for Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail at the moment. But basically, it has the phone do some of the work for you, such as automatically picking up loot, fast forwarding through cutscenes, and even getting guides on how to complete certain quests if you're stuck mid-game. I personally never used it as I don't play those games, but my colleague Najib, who does play Genshin, said that the auto loot pickup and fast forwarding features in particular were of great help whenever he was playing Genshin. I also like that they continue to let you choose between the more gamer aesthetic ROG UI theme or the more subdued classic look, along with your choice of stock Android or Asus optimized notifications and controls. What I don't like though is that Asus is yet again only guaranteeing at least 2 major OS updates and 4 years of security updates, especially in a time when other manufacturers are able to offer up to 7 years of software support. Keeping the lights on, meanwhile, is a 5500 mAh battery, and yes, you heard that right, the battery on the ROG Phone 8 Pro is actually less than the ROG Phone 7 series. This is again probably due to Asus wanting to make the phone thinner, and while your mileage may vary, I did manage to get a full day out of it pretty comfortably, even with some light gaming on the side. As usual, there's 2 USB-C ports, one on the bottom and one on the side for when you're gaming with the phone horizontally. And this is also the first ROG phone to have wireless charging, though in the box you do get a 65-watt power brick anyway for speedier fast charging that will take it to 100% in about 45 minutes or less. We now come to the part where Asus says was the biggest upgrade yet with the ROG Phone 8 Pro, the cameras. The ROG Phone 8 Pro comes with a main 50MP shooter, a 13MP ultra-wide, and for the first time on an ROG phone, a 32MP telephoto camera offering a 3x optical zoom, while the front camera is a 32MP selfie shooter. Gaming smartphones have never been the best in the camera department anyway, with ROG phones of yesteryear generally being some of the better options among them already. With the ROG Phone 8 Pro, the main camera seems to continue on this trend, offering decent but far from best shots, with the 50MP shooter snapping shots that look good if you can ignore the subtle overprocessing that happens at times. Color reproduction is decent though, keeping things fairly neutral. If anything, the main camera is merely a little inconsistent, sometimes overexposing or underexposing shots. With the telephoto, however, the 3x zoom capabilities are much more impressive compared to its predecessors that relied on a digital zoom instead. Color reproduction again is natural, but the overprocessing is present again. Overall though, the new camera setup here is a pretty nice bump in quality compared to previous ROG phones, and it's almost certainly the best on a gaming smartphone right now, if admittedly still lagging a little behind true flagship smartphones from their rivals. Alright, so I have finally gotten word on just how much this phone will be priced at, so I can now finalize just what I think about the ROG Phone 8 series. But before I get to that, here's how much Asus's new gaming smartphone will cost in Malaysia. So, as you can see, the ROG Phone 8 series is kinda pricey now. Starting at just shy of 4 grand for the base model and rising to just under 6 grand for the Pro edition with the bundled cooler. It's quite a bit more than last year's ROG Phone 7 series, which was starting at 3,599 ringgit onwards. Of course, inflation is a thing that we all have to live with. I mean, even the Samsung Galaxy S24 series, for instance, that now starts at a whopping 4,099 ringgit. It seems that everything's on the up, except my salary. Going back to the ROG Phone 8 series though, I still have to admit, this is a pretty good device. Even though it's lost some of its uniqueness by redesigning its display and moving one of the speakers below, Asus has made up for it by giving it just a little bit more chutzpah in the camera department. Perhaps the biggest disappointment for me though is that it only comes with 2 major Android OS upgrades and 4 years of security patches, seeing as the competition has very much moved on to providing longer and longer software support. The most hardcore of gamers will probably still be able to appreciate the ROG Phone 8, though I can still see them missing that full display in particular. But if you're using a phone as, well, a phone first and foremost, the ROG Phone 8 series is certainly a much better fit, I think, which is perhaps why Asus went into this direction with their flagship gaming smartphone in the first place. And yeah, that's been our take on the ROG Phone 8 series. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. Is it too expensive for you? Is the redesign nice enough to make you want to upgrade to it? Remember to subscribe for more from us here at Sorry Chin Chow. This has been Raymond, signing out.